Top of the bloody morning, superb MMA fans. Welcome back to SJ Combat. In today's video, I'm going to be going through 5 crazy fights I think the UFC should make right now. Let's get into it. We're going to start at light heavyweight with Prochazka against Costa. Now, the elephant in the room is Prochazka just got chinned by a person that had no knee in Carlos Ulberg, the new UFC light heavyweight champion. So he's going to need a bit of time to recover. That's kind of obvious, isn't it? But when the former light heavyweight champion of the world is fit and fresh and ready to go, I think Prochazka is the perfect fight for him to come back to for 2 reasons. Number 1, it's mental. I mean, just think about those two. The personalities of the two, the secret juice of Paulo Costa and the screaming at nature of Prochazka, the samurai himself. It would be lovely. And the other reason is I think it's a fight that Paulo Costa deserves. I mean, the run he was on at middleweight was abysmal. Terrible. He then got a win over Roman Kopylov in a fight that he actually went into as the underdog, which kind of shows the fall from grace for the guy who was not the favourite to beat Adesanya and become champion, but a lot of people were picking him. And then he comes up to light heavyweight and beats the boogeyman in Murzakanov. He deserves the opportunity to have a title eliminator, definitely. And this is the title eliminator. At least for Costa, not so much for Yuri. I think it's going to take a lot now for him to get another title fight. And if you look at the division, like I already mentioned, Ulberg is injured and that ACL will need time to repair. So there's room, I think, even after Yuri's kind of recovery period, after getting Sparcoed, there's space for this fight. Maybe as a main event in Brazil. You could go to Europe with this fight, Germany or Poland or even Prague, where Yuri's from, obviously the Czech Republic. Or it would add a lot of weight on a pay-per-view event. I think this is a fantastic fight that we need to see. Next up, wonderful people, a similar fight, a former champion against a rising contender. Down at middleweight, it's du Plessis against Pyfer. You can kind of cut and paste a lot of what I said about the previous fight about this one. Another very exciting matchup of 2, let's be honest, nutcases. Du Plessis has obviously not fought since he lost his belt against Hamzat in very, very dominant fashion. And Pyfer has just beaten Adesanya. I think he's number 5, number 6 at middleweight, maybe even 4, I don't know. I think du Plessis 1 still. Maybe 2, yeah, he's 2 behind Imavov. Either way, great fight. Again, in terms of placement on a card, you're probably looking at quite similar to the first one. Adds a lot of value on a pay-per-view event. I mean, you don't pay for them anymore, but you know what I mean. A numbered card. Or as a headliner of a big fight night. Somewhere in America or even Canada. So yeah, I really like the idea of a du Plessis Pyfer matchup. Let me know what you think. Let's move probably down a step in terms of relevance at the very top of a weight class, but still a high stakes matchup at featherweight, Silva against Yair Rodriguez. Now, Silva, obviously a fighting nerd, a fantastic gym, came up short against Diego Lopez in the biggest fight of his career at Noche UFC. Unlucky, very, very good showing, but, you know, Lopez was too strong. I think he will be champion one day, even though he's lost 2 title fights in the last, 18 months. And Yair Rodriguez is always fun. At this stage in their careers, I would definitely back Silva to beat Rodriguez. However, you can't really count the geezer out. He's so dynamic, explosive, and exciting. And Silva, as we saw against Lopez, he can walk onto things. He's very, very effective on the front foot, but sometimes he can. What he does, he kind of leans over his front foot quite a bit and gets caught. That's exactly what happened against Lopez, pretty much. This video is shaping up as a fantastic end of the year or maybe even the beginning of next year UFC Brazil numbered event. I mean, imagine a co-main event of 5 rounds of Prochazka versus Costa and then a feature bout of this, Silva versus Rodriguez. Wonderful fight, high stakes. Not as high as the previous 2, but very, very important matchup at featherweight it would be, and I'd love to see it. Fight number 4 of the video, an interesting one that I have come up with on the dome. All views are my own, as they say. Israel Adesanya. Last roll of the dice, move up to light heavyweight permanently again and see what he can do. His time at middleweight is done. And you could say, well, you know, going up 20 pounds is a bad idea if you keep getting knocked out. I understand. However, the skill difference as you go up in weight classes in MMA is obvious. And the gap from 185 up to 205 is quite big in terms of skill. And I think if you're Israel Adesanya, you think, I'm a 2-time middleweight champion of the world. The likelihood of me getting up there and winning the belt again at that weight class is slim to none. But if you look at the light heavyweight kind of top 8 to 12, there are a lot of matchups in there that I think favour him a lot. That I think he would look at and go, yeah, I think I can go on a bit of a run here and try and end my illustrious MMA career in a good way. I've given him Dominic Reyes because Reyes is on a good run of form overall. He's won 4 of his last 5. He's only lost in that time against the now champion Carlos Ulberg. No shame in that at all. It was a bad knockout though. And I think they would look at each other and go, yeah, I quite like that idea. Reyes does have a wrestling background. I know we normally see him as a striker, but he would probably look at Adesanya, especially his last kind of 2 years as a professional, and think, I can take him down. And if you Adesanya, yes, Reyes has a power threat. He's also been proven to have a chin that can be cracked. And I think this would be a brilliant... Where would you put this? You could have it as a Fight Night main event, or you could potentially do it as like a 5-round fight on a pay-per-view card, maybe the next time they go down under, which will probably be, February now? You could do something like that. Maybe as the co-main event under a Volkanovski title fight against Evloev. Why not? So I'm going to do Adesanya versus Reyes at light heavyweight. Last roll of the dice for Adesanya and potentially a massive win on the record of Dominic Reyes. I just feel like I'm out here building cards now, lovely people. Again, we're going to talk about another fella from down under, Jack Della Maddalena, who of course, fresh in the memory last weekend in his home country, got obliterated, if we're being honest, by a brilliant Carlos Praches. Again, I'm looking at that kind of early next year Australia slot they normally kind of like to fill. And I'm going to give him Michael Venom Page because we're quite a long way away from that kind of date that I've got in my head, sort of 9 months. I think it's probably a good amount of time for Jack to kind of reset and go, look, I've lost a couple straight, things ain't going so well, reset, rebuild, come back. But a lot can happen in that, 9 months we are away from the date that I have in my head, 9-10 months, something like that. And Page is quite active usually, so I think he probably does fight in between. So I'm kind of doing like 2 predictions in one, I guess. One of the names I think he could fight in the meantime is Robert Whittaker. I think that makes a lot of sense. If he stays at welterweight, maybe a Mike Malott or an Uros Medic, something like that. But by the time I think we get into the start of 2027, I think Page will be on the verge of a top 5 opponent. And I think JDM makes a lot of sense for that. It's the kind of fight where I think both of them would look at each other and think, I can definitely take this one. If you're JDM, you look at what Ian Gary was able to do against Page, you think, I'm far more kind of physically dominant than Gary, I could also take him down. And for Page, would take a lot of confidence away from what happened quite recently with JDM. I think, even though he's a completely different implementer of his footwork than Carlos Praches, I think he would still be able to see, look, if you're kind of quite fleet-footed, you can make him look a bit silly. And I think that would give him confidence. So again, I've built you a card. You've got Volkanovski title fight, Adesanya Reyes, and JDM MVP. Come on now. And that'll wrap us up, folks. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, smash a like, smash a comment, smash a subscribe, smash your front room if you're that kind of geezer. Anyway, I'll see you soon.